Welcome to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm Jeffrey Meldon, founder and attorney at Meldon Law. Welcome to the show. We're going to have a great guest, one of the members of our team at Meldon Law, coming on. Before we get there, though, I want to just tell you a few very exciting things that are going on in Gatorland here. We have the Orange Out. So January 6th, Kentucky is coming to play basketball here in Gainesville, and it's always a huge game. It always sells out, partly because the Kentucky fans buy any tickets that the Gator fans don't use. So it's a pretty exciting game every year, and we decided to do something really fun and put together a package. All you have to do is go to Meldon Law's Facebook page. Just go to Facebook, put in Meldon Law, and it'll come up. So you enter the contest, and here's what you can win. A Gator basketball personally autographed to you by Coach Todd Golden. Dinner for two at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We're here at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. We always like to give them a plug because they're great friends of ours, and they really do great. A friend of mine, a lawyer friend of mine, was out in Utah and ran into Coach Spurrier, and he told him he was friends of mine, and Coach said, "Yeah, that's Jeffrey. He's the Gator lawyer." So we're good friends with Steve. We call him the head ball coach or coach, but anyhow, Spurrier's is a great addition to Gainesville. The food's fun, great food, good quality, plus we have a really good time out here. The head ball coach shows up, so let's support our hometown restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. So anyhow, the Orange Out game, because the Kentucky Wildcats are, their colors are blue, right, and we're orange and blue, it's an orange game. Now, what we're doing is giving away the autographed basketball, dinner for two at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, $250 for you to purchase Gator swag before the game at the UF bookstore, tickets to the game on January 6th, and we always have great seats, and an on-court swamp moment. You can get down on the court before the game, watch the shootout. I'm actually trying to work something out since it's Meldon Law Day. Whoever wins the contest, bring them out with me to get the game ball. So that might be a lot of fun. And if you don't live in Gainesville or close to Gainesville, we'll provide a hotel for you to stay at the night before the game. It's a Saturday game, and it should be a blast. The winner's going to be chosen on January 3rd. So that's the Orange Out game, and it is going to be Meldon Law Day at the arena, the O-Dome. Everybody there, 10,000, 11,000 people, will all get Meldon Law Gator T-shirts on your. They'll be on the seats, and this year we have a great, cool design. So enjoy it. By the way, Meldon Law was founded in 1971, and we help folks that have been seriously injured in mostly auto, truck, motorcycle, but also bicycles, pedestrians. If you're in a store and you've been seriously injured, all those things we can certainly help you with. We have a great team that we believe has we create the best client experience of any law firm in North Central Florida, and I'll stand by that. We have a great team, and they really work hard at doing a good job, so I salute them. So give us a call, 352-373-8000, or just go to meldonlaw.com if you need help. A couple other things. we have tickets for all the basketball games, and we give them away at our Facebook page. So when you go on the Meldon Law Facebook page, you're going to see not only opportunities to win the incredible package for the Kentucky game, but also other opportunities during the season. There's a lot of really good games coming up. And for those of you that follow Gator basketball, you know that we've got the tallest team we've had in years and years and years. We've got 4 big guys who are really good, really strong, and we're actually going to pick up another big guy as soon as one of Alex gets himself feeling better. So check us out at our Facebook page, Meldon Law. A couple other really important announcements. We have, for several years now, been encouraging all of our team members to get involved in the Dale Carnegie course. And just about every Dale Carnegie course, we have at least a couple team members from Meldon Law in the course to learn leadership skills and how to serve you better. The next course for Dale Carnegie is starting in Gainesville, January 16th. If you're interested, you can just go Dale Carnegie or Dale Carnegie Jacksonville. There's actually a website. Let's see. If you want to sign up, go to tinurl.com and just put in DC Winter 24. So it's the winter Dale Carnegie. DC stands for Dale Carnegie, and then winter, obviously, if it starts in January, we call that winter, and 24 is 2024. So tinurl.com. I will tell you, I took the Dale Carnegie course. My son Kerry took it. I think we're up to 16 team members at the office that have taken it, and it's amazing some of the skills that you learn, and it applies not only to business but to home as well. So figure out, go to the Dale Carnegie course, sign up. It's Tuesday night from 6 to 9:30 for 8 weeks, and it's great. It'll help you negotiate. You can negotiate with your spouse even, and that's always valuable. So we got Dale Carnegie coming up January 16th. Matheson Museum, they're holding over the Great Southern Music Hall exhibit from 1974 to 1978. Yours truly started a performing arts theater in downtown Gainesville called the Great Southern Music Hall, and there's a great retrospective at the Matheson Museum, which is our history museum for Alachua County, and it's a great little museum. You'd love it, and the exhibit is interactive. If you bring your phone and you put the camera up, there's codes that'll get you to the songs that the artists that are featured there. But there's about 40 artists featured, and 11 of them are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So go down there and check it out. We like to support our local institutions, and the History Museum at Matheson is great. 513 East University Avenue, right next to the library. So that's what's going on. We got a lot of stuff that is going to be happening our way. One final thing, my wife Patricia and her daughter, who's an architect in Israel, are supporting the release of the hostages that are still being held. The group that they put together is called 220plus.org. So it's the number 220 and then plus spelled out plus.org. Some great shirts and some great sweaters that represent the hostages and what we can do to get them back home. We're going to take a short break here at Meldon Law and Friends, and we'll be back in just a minute with our featured guest.
Jeffrey, what are you doing?
Well, I'm joining the band, of course. Since Meldon Law is the official law firm partner of the Florida Gators, I want to help.
Dad, we're litigators. Let's stick to helping people in the courtroom.
Well, can we still hang out and jam a little bit? At Meldon Law, we won't back down.
I was going down a one-way street and a girl that was driving her car T-boned me on my scooter. I ended up going for an MRI and discovering that I had 2 herniated discs. Coming to Carrie allowed me to not have to worry about what doctor I was going to see or what physical therapist I had to go to. They say, these are the people we trust. You're going to have a great experience there. And I honestly did each time.
Call Meldon Law. Your consultation is absolutely free.
I was driving behind a lady, and very suddenly she moved out of the way. There was a log laying in the road, and when I hit my brakes, I went on top of the log. I had 2 herniated discs. I just haven't been the same since. Jeffrey Meldon fought for me all the way. Him and his team really went there for me. Throughout the whole lawsuit, he made sure that my bills was paid. It was never no whenever I called him and asked him for something.
Call Meldon Law right now.
And I was in an accident. Someone ran a red light and hit me, and I was hurt. You don't know where to turn. Luckily, I called Jeffrey. These big insurance companies, they don't want you to win. They truly don't. But Jeffrey and his firm and the people that work here, they just really fight for you. You call the law offices of Jeffrey Meldon, because you're going to need help, and they will help you.
Call Meldon Law right now.
Hey, Sammy, look who's there. Say hi.
Hey!
You again.
Meldon Law, Jeffrey speaking.
Jeffrey!
Somebody else!
Here!
Here we go again. Welcome back to Meldon Law and Friends. I'm pleased to have as our guest this afternoon Chris Speziok, who's a great attorney at Meldon Law. How you doing today, Chris?
Doing well. Thanks, Jeffrey, for having me.
Well, good. Now, I wanted to, I know that your specialty is in litigating cases and all that. I'd like to talk a little bit about your journey to becoming a trial lawyer. Where'd you go to undergraduate school?
So actually here at UF, both me and my wife are very proud Gator alumni.
Well, you had good breeding by going to the Gators and being part of Meldon Law. You know, you can score good tickets for some of the athletic events, and we always have a good time with our Gators. So you went to University of Florida, and what about law school?
So I actually went down to the Tampa, St. Pete area for Stetson's University of down there. They have a very specialized trial practice and trial program, so I wanted to get as much experience as I could.
Well, I know they do. My son Kerry, our team member, he went to Stetson and had an absolute great experience there as far as training for trial law.
Sure.
A lot of folks don't realize that some law schools focus in on trial practice more than others.
Sure, yeah.
And, we say all schools are not the same. But Stetson is a great school. I don't know if you know this, but Kerry's grandfather graduated from Stetson Law School. And Kerry graduated in 2005 from Stetson Law, and they gave his grandfather the honor of giving him his diploma.
Oh, wow.
So that was, I think his grandfather graduated in 1950, so wow. He wound up getting it. So anyhow, that was just a little bit of trivia there. So anyhow, and now during law school, you were working as with a personal injury law firm while you were also going to school.
Yes, they make us go up full-time, only focused on school for the first semester, and then they let you kind of ease your way into practicing. So starting that second semester, I actually picked up at a personal injury firm. I thought it wasn't going to be a great fit for me, and here I am 8 years later, absolutely in love with the field. So it's been great helping folks out that need our help, have never had an attorney before in their life, are injured and don't know what to do. And I learned the ropes from there and have been able to apply it, now as a practicing attorney.
Yeah, the best time I had in law school, I think, was when I was working, because it wasn't quite as stressful as having to prepare for exams. You go in the office and you're learning stuff, but it's like real stuff you can relate to.
Yep, absolutely.
It's interesting what you say about helping people, because I feel absolutely blessed and privileged to be able to help people put their lives back together after serious accidents or crashes.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. Most of the folks we work with were the first time they've ever had an attorney in their life, and there's a lot of bad publicity about attorneys. People think poorly of the profession, so being able to let them know that there's people out here that care about what they're going through and care about helping them has been a really, really nice trait.
Yeah, they always, people always, criticize lawyers until they need one.
Yeah, that's for sure.
One of our state senators here, this is 35 years ago, he had a misdemeanor. It was like some kind of a hunting violation, and they gave him a citation, and it was a misdemeanor, and he is, but criminal. And he found out you couldn't take depositions in most cases, in misdemeanor cases. And he went berserk and, started trying to change the law. That's an example of, the law is fine until you find out it doesn't work for you. But anyhow, so how long have you lived in the North Central Florida area?
So my wife and I were here both for our undergraduates. I went down to Stetson while she went to USF for her master's. And we actually came back up here when she went to the UF Vet program back in 2018. So we've been back up here for about 5 years.
Oh, wow. Well, that's exciting. So your wife, Sarah Beth, is a vet. So you guys are both like busy doing a bunch of high-powered stuff.
Yep, she's the smart one. She's Dr. Speziok. I'm just Mr. Speziok. But she keeps herself busy helping out with mixed animal practice in Newberry, west of Gainesville here. So she does horses, sheep, goats, pretty much everything. And
what's the name of the practice?
It's Spring Hill Equine, but they also have a small animal hospital that they just opened up as well.
Okay, so anybody out there that needs a good vet, Sarah Beth Speziok will take good care of your animals. She does big animals and small animals.
Yep. And
it's really kind of neat. A lot of us in the office have animals. We have 2 dogs, and it's always one thing or another. You gotta take care of your animals, and if you love them, then you gotta pay the vet.
For sure.
There's a funny story. Like 30, 40 years ago, my wife at the time took one of our animals into the vet and came out with a bill in today's dollars would be like $3,500,
wow.
And she went up to the vet and said, "You guys charge like real doctors." And he didn't take it that well, but it was a big bill.
Yeah.
And, those of you that have tried to save an animal from some life-threatening illness or incident know what we're talking about. Yep. That, you can do a lot of stuff with animals just like you can with humans. And sometimes, the vets now really can do some amazing things.
Sure.
So, I know that you have a lot of different experience since you started practicing law. What's your favorite part of practicing law?
Trial practice for sure. I mean, it's fun, trying to beat up insurance adjusters to pay our folks fair value for what they've been through. But there's nothing quite as special as, being able to sit next to a client and actually put on a case for them. Take it from A to Z, picking a jury, opening statements, really getting to tell folks what our client has been through over the past several years as they've been going through their injury and the recovery process. And there's something special about watching members of our community do the right thing at the end of the case and come back with a verdict that tries to make our clients whole.
Yeah, and what's interesting is how long it takes to really get to trial nowadays. When you watch TV, on day one, the case comes in, and on day two, they're in front of a jury arguing.
Yeah.
And with us, it's like on day one, the case comes in, and 3 years later, you get a trial date, However, the courts have been working really hard at trying to get cases back on schedule. For those of you that weren't aware, when COVID hit, that completely disrupted the whole idea of trying a case in front of a jury. They started trying cases in front of on using Zoom, basically. Did you ever have to do that?
Luckily, no. I actually tried 3 entirely in masks and with social distancing, which was definitely an experience. There's just something very weird about not being able to see people's faces while we're trying to judge their credibility. I don't know how exactly juries were able to do that, but the few that I tried through the COVID process still came back with great results. But I couldn't imagine trying something by Zoom.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how a lot of folks, on jurors, became more sympathetic to people who were injured in crashes. Why do you think that was?
I think COVID really brought us as a society a little bit closer together. We felt a little bit more for what everyone else was going through. As cheesy as that we're all in this together that we were seeing on commercials through those 2 years. I mean, it really panned out in real life, and I think people feel for folks that are going through a hard time in their life a little bit more than they did before COVID, and I think that's reflected in the verdicts. They take more into account what a huge change of injury or an illness can have on somebody's life.
Yeah, I feel I saw that same phenomenon going on, and that all of a sudden jurors were going, oh yeah, we are vulnerable. It's easy to be a hard ass and, go, oh, tough it out, all that. And then all of a sudden, someone in your family seriously injured, or you lose someone in your family or close friends, because everybody was affected by COVID. And I think it did, in many ways, make us more sensitive to at least injuries that people were going through and how that affected their lives. We've had some changes in the law recently. In March of 2023, there was the biggest change in the law with regard to personal injury cases that had ever happened in the state of Florida. I'd like your thoughts on what some of those changes were and how it affects our ability to represent our clients.
It was a completely all-encompassing change that they added to the law here back in March. House Bill 837 is going to completely change how folks that were injured have to address those injuries. It was attacking their medical bills. I mean, people understand medical bills are expensive nowadays. You can go into a hospital and get a $10,000 bill for one checkup. And while we all think, maybe that's not a fair amount of money to be charged for it, that's what that bill is, and that's what that person owes. But nowadays, if that person gets injured, they have a $10,000 hospital bill, they may only be able to collect the Medicare rate for that bill from the person that caused the injury. So even though because of that person's negligence, they have a $10,000 bill, they may only be able to get reimbursed $2,000, $1,000 for that, and then they're stuck footing the bill for the rest of that. And personally, I don't think that's fair to to somebody that's been injured to have them sticking the bill because somebody else caused their injury.
Yeah, that was crazy. What really happened was the insurance industry had someone who was a House member in Florida who was working for an insurance company, and he wrote down a list of every possible thing that insurance companies and defense lawyers would want, and just about all of them got into House Bill 837, and then they passed it. What are some of the other changes that took place besides medical bills?
Oh, they limited the amount of time it takes for us to file a lawsuit, which sounds great. Cases move quicker. We only get 2 years instead of 4 years to file a lawsuit. But what that means is, folks that are trying to hide from us finding out their responsibility. Maybe an employer that wasn't on the crash report. Maybe the person was driving for Uber and didn't tell us or didn't tell the police officer. Those folks can escape responsibility because they're only being 2 years to bring those claims. So we're working a lot harder on the front end to be able to get these cases filed quicker and discover those folks. But I'm really worried that folks that aren't represented, that are trying to do it themselves, there may be potential avenues of recovery that may just disappear because those claims aren't brought quick enough.
Yeah, so in the legal field, statute of limitations is designed in order to give all the parties time to determine who might be at fault in a personal injury case. Well, sometimes you file a lawsuit and you get down the road and it's already a year and a half or almost 2 years or longer. Sometimes it's 3 years. And if the statute of limitations is 2 years, that would bar any claim from another party who wasn't previously identified.
Yeah, it's very scary that folks may end up not getting fair compensation because of folks hiding behind the statute of limitations change.
So I guess, what we're going to have to do is file more lawsuits, litigate more cases in order to protect our clients, because in the state of Florida, there is no mandatory bodily injury liability insurance. And even if there is and they pass the bill, it might be $25,000. And a lot of the folks that we represent, they blew through $25,000 going to the emergency room.
Yeah, the medical bills are just so high nowadays to get fair reimbursement just for the medical expenses these folks incurred for basic care like physical therapy or MRIs to see if there's any worse injuries. That money gets eaten up so quickly by the medical bills.
Yeah, another area that concerned me was the comparative negligence change. So in the old days, comparative negligence meant that two people could contribute to a crash, two people could contribute to somebody falling, two people could contribute to any kind of an accident, and the law was that the jury would apportion it. So if the jury found that you were 10% at fault, whatever your verdict was in your favor would be reduced by the 10% that you were at fault. Well, that was changed. And the new law says that if you are 51% at fault, instead of getting 49% of the judgment, you get zero, which sounds incredible. They used to do that. They had that law for a long time with DUI, However, in DUI, public policy argument, you could make an argument that made sense. How do you think we're going to be able to deal with that as far as what kind of cases we're going to be able to pursue and help our clients on?
It's definitely trying to attack those slip and falls and trip and falls, which if somebody falls on a property and there's a defect in that property that causes it, a leaky pipe, slippery wax on the floor, or uneven sidewalks, those sort of things, certainly their argument always is, well, you should have been paying attention to where you were walking. And that, really isn't fair. They shouldn't have had a dangerous condition on their property.
Well, not only that, when you walk, you don't look at the ground.
No, and especially not at stores. Stores are designed to have you looking at the, what's in the aisles. What are they selling? And you're not looking at the ground. And so they always try and say, well, it's the plaintiff's fault. It's the person that was injured's fault. And normally they get a discount of 20-25% for that if they go to trial. But now they're going to try and say, oh, that was 55% of the person's responsibility, and they're going to be we'll take 40% on us. And I think that is going to affect cases that end up going to trial and going further on down the road. But it doesn't mean we're not going to fight for them and see what we can do for folks.
Yeah, I think the good thing is, if the jury comes back 50-50, at least you get 50% of what you're entitled to. The whole idea of the changes in the tort law, they call it tort reform. I guess if you take rights away from ordinary citizens, they call that reform. I don't see it as reform. I see it as, taking away your rights. However, I think it's going to require us to really be a little more careful in taking cases, because the worst thing that can happen is you take a client's case and then 3 years down the road you explain to them that the chances of winning the case are slim because of how the facts came out. So it's really going to affect ordinary citizens. As far as trial lawyers, we may wind up investing 3 or 4 years of our time in a case, $50,000 or $100,000 in costs, and really not have any idea of whether or not we're going to win the case until after the jury decides what percentage of fault our clients had in the case.
Yeah, and that's just going to backlog court dockets. I mean, there's going to be a lot more of these cases that go the distance. Judges are going to be more bogged down, and the insurance companies are going to raise rates for folks because they have more cases in litigation.
Yeah. So anyhow, that that was certainly one thing that I didn't think was fair to consumers, and that's basically what Chris and I do at Meldon Law. Is we look out for you, our clients. You are consumers, and when we're talking about going into a store. When you go into a store and the air conditioner is broken and they fix it and it starts leaking again and the floor is wet, and then they knew about it. They should have replaced the air conditioner or made sure it was fixed correctly, that they can try to wiggle out of responsibility. So there's a lot of cases where the owners of property don't really do much to make the property safe. Under Florida law, the owners of property have a duty to create a safe condition, and when they're a business and they invite you in, they have even a higher duty.
Yeah, they need to be making sure that they're inspecting their property, that they're making sure that if there are hazardous conditions, if it's a slippery substance on the floor, what do you expect them to do? Put a wet floor sign down. If it's an area where there's uneven concrete or a step down, they put a warning down that says, hey, there's a step here. Those folks that are walking in there and having their dinner for the first time aren't going to expect those things, and they need to be warned of it. and especially in exactly what you're talking about, you have a leaky air conditioner, it's happening all the time, they know about it. And, it's not hidden things and not things they have no idea about that, attorneys are trying to trick them into liability for. These are basic things that these folks should know about, that they should fix or that they should warn about. And, if somebody gets injured in a situation where they didn't, they have a right to be compensated.
So it's really interesting, Chris, all the different nuances, because as plaintiff lawyers, the law in Florida had not changed substantially for over 35 years. And we knew the rules. We'd get frustrated by some of the rules. The insurance defense lawyers would get frustrated by some of the rules. But these are rules that are pretty common around the United States. If you want to present your future medical bills, you get an expert in there and say, this is what the bills are going to be. Now the insurance company comes in and says, well, we're going to use Medicare to decide how much to pay. Well, Medicare is great, but they only pay about 20 cents on the dollar for most bills. So if you don't happen to have Medicare, they're going to argue that Medicare is the fair rate, even though you don't have Medicare, which sounds a little crazy.
Yeah, it's so silly. They are, with the new scheme that they have in place, if you do not have health insurance, you don't have Medicare, you don't have Medicaid, you're entirely uninsured. You're going to get reimbursed for that future physical therapy visit at $20 a pop. But when you walk in the door and go to your physical therapist, it's going to be $100 a pop. And you are going to be footing that $80 difference every time you go. And into some folks that have lifetime injuries and have lifetime need for care, that's going to be to the tune of tens of thousands of dollars that folks are going to be out of that money, which is totally unfair.
Yeah, luckily we were able to add a clause into the law that said that the plaintiff's lawyer, meaning what Chris and I do, we represent the folks that have been injured, that we could present our argument like you just made, that, okay, the person today happens to have a job with health insurance, so their Blue Cross plan is going to pay for it, but what happens next year if they lose their job and they don't have insurance? The insurance industry can argue that the Blue Cross rate or Medicare rate or whatever the lowest rate is in the community as far as reimbursement. For those of you that don't know, Blue Cross, Medicare, they pay a lot less than what retail is because their argument is we give you a lot of cases. Medicare says, we are Medicare and we're setting the rate at a certain amount, and some doctors take Medicare, some doctors don't. Blue Cross does the same thing, and they pay close to what Medicare pays. However, most doctors will tell you that they need good quality insurance plans to make money in their practice. It's not you can't make money getting 20 cents on the dollar reimbursement. So that's a whole nother thing. Now there was a law passed recently, not 2 years ago, requiring that everyone in Florida has to get mandatory bodily injury liability insurance. For those of you that don't know, Florida's one of 50 states, the only state in the United States that has no mandatory bodily injury liability or mandatory uninsured motorist coverage. What I know that there's a bill that's been filed. What are your thoughts on how mandatory bodily injury liability will affect things?
Well, it should have affected things 2 years ago, Jeffrey, but unfortunately it was vetoed at the 11th hour by Governor DeSantis. This bill is going up again this year with hopefully a better chance of being passed all the way through. So as it is right now, everyone that is insured in the state of Florida has something called no-fault coverage. It unfortunately makes up most of people's insurance premiums every month when they're paying it. And what it does is it only pays 80% of your medical bills if you are involved in an accident. So you go to the hospital, you have to foot 20% of the bill. You go to get in an ambulance, you foot 20% of the bill. And it doesn't do anything for any sort of non-economic damages. So pain and suffering, anything else somebody's going on or through outside of medical bills. So mandatory bodily injury coverage is going to pay 100% of those medical bills, lost wages, and the non-economic damages like pain and suffering up to that $25,000 limits. So it's going to, in effect, be able to better cover most of Florida's drivers if they happen to cause an accident or if they are injured in an accident at somebody else's fault. So it's going to be a great change if it's something that does pass here this year.
And actually, most of y'all that have decent insurance, your rates are going to go down because the way the insurance industry in Florida has personal injury protection, which pays 80% of your medical bills up to $10,000. And that law was passed 50 years ago when $10,000 would actually pay some of your medical bills, right? That the premiums for most people would go down. The only folks that would wind up paying a little more are people who had the minimal insurance, which didn't protect it, really doesn't protect hardly anybody. There's $10,000 mandatory for property damage. Again, in 1973, when the law was passed, you could actually buy a big, nice car for $10,000. Nowadays, that's a bumper on one of the $68,000 pickup trucks. So, it is what it is. Well, we've covered a lot of good subjects. I think the message is that in spite of some of the hurdles that have been placed in front of us, we're still getting really good results at Meldon Law.
Yeah, absolutely. And we keep plan on keeping it doing that here as we move into 2024.
Yeah. So give us a call if you've been injured in an accident and you have any questions. We certainly don't charge to review your case, to give you some insights as far as what to do. A lot of times we'll explain to you how to handle it yourself. You may not need an attorney, and we're glad to do that. We've got guidebooks for you for what kind of insurance you need to get. And then in the event you or friends, family are in an accident, we have a book telling you exactly what to do after an accident. We also have a little guidebook you can put in your glove compartment, which has a 1, 2, 3 list of things to do at the scene. That's why you put it in your glove compartment. We even have a red envelope that we put it in so you can find it easily. But little things like pull out your cell phone camera and take a picture of the license plate of witnesses, because they're not gonna wait an hour for a police officer to show up. They got to go to work, drop the kids off, pick up the kids, whatever. Take a picture. Sometimes they'll be glad to give you their contact information, and the police will be glad to follow up. And those are little things that we try to help people be aware of, because in the event of an accident, no matter how much you think you're going to forget something, and you just want a checklist.
Yep.
So and that helps us. That when we have a picture of the scene or a video of the scene, it really is helpful as far as explaining what happened. I feel like we've just hit the top of the tip of the iceberg here. However, we're going to finish up the show on Meldon Law and Friends. Chris Speziok, great lawyer, good friend, and really a trusted member of the Meldon Law team. Thank you very much for joining us. And We'll be back next week on Meldon Law and Friends. Good job.